The good, the bad, the ugly of 2023. Let's talk about it. Hey y'all, we are going to be doing the new makeup releases tag video today. On Sunday, we sit down together, we judge new makeup every single week. We talk about the new makeup releases, but today I'm doing the new makeup releases tag. I see my friends Aniela Canikvis and Samantha March do this video every single year, put out their questions. So we're going to talk about it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I have a list of questions, and I'm just going to kind of share my thoughts, opinions, predictions, things like that. I will have the questions in the description box along with links to Sam and Angie's channel. I'm going to slide my chair over to the side though, because I want to pop up pictures as we talk to maybe jog your memory. If you forgot about some of these, we're going to talk about it. Okay, so our first question says, what mainstream release lived up to the hype most this year? And I really have to give that to Natasha Denona. I think Natasha Denona put out some really good releases this year, but I specifically want to talk about the Yucca palette. This palette is so insanely gorgeous. I feel like Natasha Denona gave us exactly what we wanted. I love the brand for her formulas, for her color stories, the different like textures she gives us. I love that she's been doing the midi palettes a lot in that not $100 palette price point. That's making me happy. But specifically the Yucca palette, we have the grungy tones that I love from Natasha. We also have some bright, vibrant tones in there. We have these not so neutral shades. The undertones of the greens, we have these like nice olives, we have these beautiful like golden tones in there. And it's just that like everything I want from the brand. We have the cream to powder formula. I love that release so much. So that one for me was really just like, yes, Natasha Denona is hyped in here for a reason. And I also have to mention her concealer because I like so many other products aside from the eyeshadow palettes from Natasha Denona. I think, of course, she does wonderful eyeshadow palettes, but she also makes really good lip products. I really love a foundation she doesn't have anymore. I hope she brings it back. I like her blushes, her highlighters. So when this concealer launched, it was getting a lot of hype, and for me, with my oily skin in a humid place, I love that concealer. I think it is so good. It definitely lived up to the hype for me. It was in a yearly favorites, so obviously I love it, but I just feel like her releases, they were there for me this year. The next question is, what indie release lived up to the hype most this year? And I have to talk about Adept Cosmetics. Adept is so good. What can I say? Like, I love their formulas. They have some of the best multi-chromes, sparkle shades, all of that on the market, in my opinion. Their packaging is very luxe. They don't release a ton of palettes, but they do release what I feel like is enough to where there's going to be something. There's going to be something for everybody. Even if you don't want everything like I do, there are enough releases to where there's going to be something throughout the year. So I'm always excited when they release something. And with their Inspired palette, with their Sumerian Sunset, with La Cienega, that was kind of their neutral-ish palette, with with the Element 115, like all of their palettes just lived up to the hype for me. Like the whole brand, the cheek palettes, Ketracel White, I love Rainbow Raider. They were already hyped for me and they did not disappoint. I also have to go with Odin's Eye Holiday. So last year, Odin's Eye released two Christmas palettes, Christmas Eve and Christmas palette, and they were so good. They sold out after a few days, and then Odin's Eye brought them back. They sold out after a few days. So I was so happy to see that Odin's Eye brought those back this year, but they also gave us 2 new Christmas palettes, and I loved those. I thought they were perfect on their own, of course, but also to be like opposites for what they did last year. Same beautiful formulas. We even had a holographic shade in one, which was so incredibly good. But I love that they did bold and deep and super saturated for Christmas 2022. And then this year they gave us this more like vintagey vibe. It reminded me of like old Christmas photos that I see of my parents, where the colors are very like muted. There's this certain undertone to them that just leans very like classic and vintage to me. So they're great on their own, but they're also beautiful when paired with last year's palette. And I didn't know. I'm like, where is Odin's Eye gonna go from last year's palettes? Like, what are they gonna do for Christmas? Because those were so amazing. So when I saw the new ones, I was like, oh yes. Oh yes, this lives up to the hype for sure. What releases did not live up to the hype? The Huda Beauty Easy Bake Setting Powder. Like, you hear how quickly that came out of my mouth. As soon as I read the question, I'm like, Huda Beauty powder, because the way I was excited for that powder. I love the loose powder so much, and I thought pressed, amazing, amazing. And I read the description and all, and I'm like, you know, it may not be quite as matte, but that's fine. It's a pressed version. That powder, if you did not watch my worst step video, maybe not. It sits on top of the skin. Just for something like, so many people have been waiting on a pressed version for so long. I'm talking years. And for that release to come out, it was like heartbreaking, honestly. The other thing I thought about was Pat McGrath, because I bought one mini palette from Pat McGrath this year. And I love Pat McGrath. Love the foundation, love the concealer, love the blushes, highlighters, lip products. And it just kind of fell flat for me this year. I didn't buy any of the palettes. I feel that Pat McGrath is becoming a little too repetitive, and I wish that wasn't the case, because I have palettes and products from Pat McGrath that I absolutely love. I would love to see a new foundation from her, because the Sublime foundation and concealer I absolutely love. So I would love to have another product, another complexion product to try, maybe a new primer, maybe a new powder. I don't know. I definitely loved the bronzers. I'm pretty sure those launched this year. I've actually been using that since I did my collection video. I've been using that almost every day. That was a great release, but otherwise, I have a hard time remembering what Pat McGrath launched this year. What was the biggest curveball? I have to say Inslee Rain. I tried Inslee Rain for the first time this year. So at the end of last year, yes, at the end of last year, I tried Inslee Rain Mid-Winter Dream Collection collab with Brittany Huffman. I pre-ordered it in December, or maybe it was November, because I believe it was an 8 to 10 week pre-order. So I got my products in January of this year. I tried it for the first time, and I was really impressed. I bought the full collection. It was a palette, glosses, I think there were some loose shadows, but I really liked the things I tried. The Glitz Fix, and it's been love ever since then. Like, I don't ever want to say like a brand came out of nowhere, of course not, but for me, I did not see it coming. And if you watched my palette ranking video, you'll know that Inslee Rain was very high up in my rankings. They just consistently released beautiful packaging, beautiful color stories, beautiful formulas, like everything was so nice. So I had pre-ordered the Midwinter Dream collection, like I said, and I did get it in the promised time frame. And then I also ordered the Twisted Tea Party collection, and I've just loved. I've loved. I really enjoy the brand. I recently reviewed their Cold Moon collection. That blew me away. I'm like, that was kind of a curveball for me. When I made my first order from them, I expected to like the products. Honestly, like, I wouldn't buy something thinking I'm going to hate it, but I did not expect to fall in love with the brand as much as I have. The next question says, what was the biggest letdown or snooze fest of the year? I'm going to go with a very specific thing that let me down. Maybe I'm a little dramatic, but the Dior Powder No Powder is no longer around. And when I saw that it was going out of stock at a lot of retailers, I was optimistically hopeful that it was just getting new packaging, maybe a little reformulation, because I believe Dior is trying to like transition their products to more like a vegan, I think, formula, something like that. And I thought, you know what, maybe they're going to switch it up a little bit, but we're going to get the powder that we love. So I'm going to hold off. I'm not going to buy 5 backups of my favorite Dior Powder No Powder. And the regret that I have is so intense. So that is such a letdown to me that I have not yet seen a reformula. I'm gonna hold out hope. I believe on the Dior site they have like a 1 shade left. It is not my shade, so I can't buy it. But for me specifically, that makes me sad. Also, a letdown, Hip Dot. Where is Hip Dot? And maybe this could go into the curveball category too. I never tried Hip Dot, but they were getting so much hype for a while, so I feel like this year was a bit of a letdown. Last I looked at their Instagram, they have not posted in months, so I don't know what's going on with the brand, if they're closing. I don't know. I don't know what's happening, but it seems like last year we always had some like gimmicky type of product to talk about from Hip Dot. I was hoping this would be the year that they would bring out something that would tempt me, but it's kind of crickets from them. What was the unsung hero of 2023? Okay, here is something that I'm like, how are more people not talking about this? And that is the Unearthly lip liners. Unearthly Cosmetics put out lip liners that are so good, and they're $6 before you use an affiliate code. That's wild. Like, that is wild. $6 lip liners from an indie brand, and they have really good shades. Like, if you watch my videos, you know I use Carnage on repeat. They have some beautiful brown tones, and I've used those lip liners so much. It's kind of crazy. But I'm like, $6 lip liners. How are we not talking about this more? I also have to talk about Sigma, because Sigma had some really great releases this year, like very good staple products in my opinion. They released their cream blushes. I think that formula is so good. If you have tried cream blushes and you find every one you try to be so incredibly sheer or so dewy that it's sticky, and if you're like me, mosquito sticks to your face, and you're like, okay, cream liquid blushes are not for me, those Sigma cream blushes are so good. They have pigment. You can use a tiny bit if you don't want a ton of pigment. That's great. But if you are not in the light skin tone category and you find that liquid blushes, you just have to layer up so much, definitely the Sigma ones are so good, and I've seen so many different skin types love them, but speaking for oily skin, I don't feel like they don't set down. I don't feel like they disturb product underneath. I can lightly dust over them, be good to go. Like, they're so good. They also released their lip creams. They're like liquid lip creams. I think you'll see a photo. Okay, everything I talk about, I'll try to link down below in the description box as well, as long as if I have like any links, any codes, anything like that, check the description box. But I thought those were really beautiful. They came out with some really beautiful quad palettes, like staple type products is what I'm talking about. And then of course the Beauty and the Beast collection, absolutely beautiful. Multiple collabs, like they were doing the thing this year. What was the best holiday release this year? I feel like Glamlight won, okay? They won holiday. We had several different collabs and holidays. So first of all, they did Chucky for Valentine's Day. I thought that was genius. Like, I have never seen a Chucky movie. Don't judge me, okay? Like, I haven't, okay? I haven't. But to do Chucky and Tiffany and this crazy in love theme, I thought was such a interesting take on Valentine's Day. It was so well thought out, well executed. And then coming into the Halloween season, we had Ghostface. That one I love. That is my comfort movie. If you know, you know. I love Scream. I love all of them, but specifically number one, I could watch all the time. Their Ghostface collection, amazing. They had a Friday the 13th collection, like over the top. They did Nightmare on Elm Street. They went all in for Halloween. They took some really like classic horror movies and they killed it. And I will say, the products in the collection were really good quality too. It wasn't just like they slapped the franchise on the packaging and moved about their day. Like, quality products. I also think Melt did an amazing job in their collab with Nightmare Before Christmas. First with Halloween Town. This is the Melt that I love. Okay, I love Melt that takes risk with packaging and color stories and theming. And yes, this was a collaboration, but we had fun packaging. Like, we had really good quality packaging, like collector type packaging, to where you want to display it, keep it, if you're a fan of the franchise. And I loved every piece of the collection. The color stories were unique and different. The formula in the palette was good. It was exactly like what I say good. It was amazing. Like, I love it. Also really high up in my palette rankings. And then they gave us Christmas Town, and just as amazing. Like, they really did Halloween and Christmas justice. And Nightmare Before Christmas is perfect for that Halloween and Christmas time, you know? So, best holiday releases for sure. Best collab of 2023. Now, this is not going to be easy because, I mean, I'll just talk about myself first, okay? So, I collabed with Unearthly Cosmetics. We have a full Resurgence collection. It was really a dream come true. I mean, I love Unearthly Cosmetics. You know this if you've been here for 5 minutes. If not, hi, I love Unearthly. And getting to make a collaboration that tied in my love for nature and myths and legends, and we did this like Beatles on the forest floor type of thing. It was just so wonderful. I love it's still available. I love it. We have the palette individually, of course, but then I also got to create a highlighter duo in the low light formula that I love. It has a transparent base to it, so even though it may look intimidating in the pan, the highlighters will work on all skin tones. And when I say all skin tones, I mean all skin tones. A beautiful gloss with like these rainbow sparkles, this milky gloss. listen, that was a highlight of the year for me. Of course, I love. And then my bestie, Angelica Nyqvist, came out with another collab with Odin's. She got to do 2 palettes with them. And she started her own brand, Singe Beauty, this year. But we're going to focus on the collabs. Odin's, like Halloween. That could also be a best holiday release. So those palettes are incredibly beautiful. My friend Allie Dawson got to have a collab this year. So excited for her. Definitely love her. And she made a beautiful fall collection. We have Odin's that collaborated with my friend Amanda, Makeup Just for Fun. Lauren May Beauty. We have Betty Jean. Like, those 3 did amazing on their collaborations for the Perfect World collection from Odin's. Just really, really great collaborations this year. Really fun. I love seeing my friends succeed in the beauty space, of course. Okay, what are your predictions for releases during next year? So I do not predict that makeup releases in general are going to slow down. I love having options, and maybe it's because like my mindset, I remember being a makeup lover and not having options. Going to the drugstore and everything looks the same and there's nothing new there. Going to the makeup counters in department stores and it's all the same. There's not much variety. Like stalking MAC for their like limited edition collabs to come out, and going to Sephora and being like, I hope there's something new. And now with the way we can find out about new releases and launch dates and all is so nice. And I don't see makeup releases slowing down. And for somebody like me who likes to pick and choose what I want, I really enjoy that. So I don't think we're going to see a decline in new releases, but I do think we're going to see some brands filling out their line. You know, like maybe brands that don't have a concealer in their line, bringing out a concealer. We've seen that with Rare Beauty this year. They've brought out a lot of different types of products, maybe not products that are super exciting, but like bringing in body care to their line, different things like that. We saw Makeup by Mario, even though I hated the foundation, brought out a foundation and some cream blushes, more eyeshadow palettes. So I think we're going to see that. I think we're definitely going to see some brands filling out their line. I'm also curious to see if we're going to see less multi-chromes and special shades. I don't think that these brands are just charging high prices because they want to charge high prices. I think they want to fit a lot of special shades in palettes, and those special shades are very expensive to make. So by the time they get these products made and then try to make some profit, it just makes things expensive and makes people be a lot more choosy with what they buy. I'm not sure if we're gonna see those special shades coming into more mainstream brands, because when I think of the brands that do those, like the Natasha Denona Trio Chrome palette, you're having 3 multi-chromes, but you're paying over $100 still. And Pat McGrath will put those shades in her palettes, and you're paying, you know, $60 for a quad or over $100 for a palette. But moving on from that, I also think we're gonna see a return of bronzy skin and nude blushes specifically. I know Peach Fuzz is the Pantone color of the year, but I have been seeing a lot of looks on celebrities and just here and there, more nude colored blushes, less pops of pinks and reds and bright corals. I think we're just going to see more nude tones, both on cheeks and lips. I think that we're also going to see what looks to be called like cloud skin coming in, to where it's more of like this soft focus matte, not a matte full coverage like flawless type of look that we've seen in years past, but more of this soft matte. Matte with a little bit of like skin-like finish coming through. I think we're seeing the dewy skin fade a little bit. And I'm not talking about skin dew. I'm talking about like glow, that kind of like all over, like glow in the T-zone, glow under here, like glow everywhere. I think we're going to see that kind of transition out a little bit. All right, y'all, those are just my thoughts on the new makeup releases, what I think is in, out, the good, the bad, the ugly. Thank you, Angie and Sam, for doing this video. I always have fun every year talking about this. I'm not the best at predictions, but it's always fun to think about. Definitely, if you are a content creator, make this video. If you're not, answer the questions down in the comments. Like I said, I will list them out in the description box. I would love to hear your answers. I hope whatever you're doing, you're having an amazing day. Please subscribe so my videos will show up on your subscription feed, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye!